platform that the Honorable Elijah Muhammad, our religious leader, stands upon is the platform of complete freedom, justice, and equality for the 20 million black people, or so-called Negroes here in America. And he teaches us that because of the seriousness of the condition that our people now find themselves in, that it's absolutely impossible to solve our problems with means other than religion. And he teaches us that the religion of Islam is the only religion that will instill within our people the incentive to stand on our own feet, and instead of trying to force ourselves upon whites or force ourselves into the white society or blame the white man for our predicament and constantly beg him for what he has, he says that the only way that we can solve our problem is to unite together among ourselves, among our own kind, clean ourselves up, rid ourselves of the evils that we've become addicted to here in this society, and try and solve our problem ourselves.
Welcome to Shaman Vision. Today we're getting to the truth of who killed Malcolm X. Malcolm X is an American hero and freedom fighter who spoke truth to power and was unapologetic with his views. There has been controversy about his death for years, and today we're finally going to get to the truth. Unfortunately, a lot of the public and quote-unquote conscious people still think it was the Nation of Islam that killed Malcolm. But with new evidence, it is now clear that that is not the case. The Netflix documentary, Who Killed Malcolm X, came out in 2020. It was an in-depth investigation with aid from agents in the NYPD. The documentary did reveal who the previously unknown infamous shotgun shooter was, William Bradley. But understanding the purpose of this Netflix series takes a little work. Let's reference Dr. Wesley Muhammad's lecture.
The Netflix docuseries, Who Killed Malcolm X, is a U.S. intelligence operation. It's a specific intelligence operation called a limited hangout. Limited hangout is intelligence jargon for a form of propaganda in which a selected portion of a scandal, criminal act, sensitive or classified information, etc., is revealed or leaked without telling the whole story. Limited hangout, restricted hangout, give something in order to hide something else, and to divert public attention away from a more heinous act by leaking information about something less heinous. This is a common tactic used by government intelligence agencies caught in a scandal. Both the CIA and the FBI use this propaganda covert act called limited hangout.
As mentioned by Dr. Muhammad, the whole documentary stinks of a covert operation. To bring in some context, I have to mention COINTELPRO. COINTELPRO is a counterintelligence program conducted by the FBI from 1956 to 1971 to discredit and neutralize organizations considered subversive to U.S. political stability. It was covert and often used extra-legal means to criminalize various forms of political struggle and derail several social movements. End quote. They did this by manipulating informants around leaders, slandering leaders, blackmail, turning people they considered threats against each other, manipulating members with crime plots or drugs to get them locked up, and various other devious methods to cause discord and confusion. The Nation of Islam was an early target of this program, with the FBI maintaining massive files on just Elijah Muhammad and Malcolm X. The FBI would go on to play a role in driving a wedge between the two. COINTELPRO focused on groups it considered black extremists, but in reality they were just black empowerment groups seeking freedom, justice, and equality in America. Organizations that would eventually become a target for COINTELPRO would be the NAACP, the Southern Christian Leadership Conference, the Black Panthers, and the Student Nonviolent Coordinating Committee. The FBI infamously wiretapped Martin Luther King Jr. and sent him anonymous letters encouraging him to commit suicide. COINTELPRO would reach its zenith in the late 60s and early 70s with the inauguration of COINTELPRO Black Panther and COINTELPRO New Left. The Bureau's tactics ranged from the petty to the outright murderous. The most damning piece of evidence is this memo the FBI sent to their agents. I got this straight from their website.
They need more white people to civilize whites. They need them to civilize the savages in Cicero, who throw rocks and bricks at a peaceful and lovable black man like Dr. Martin Luther King, who would not even hurt a fly. But that's very important, because our uncles and our fathers and our older brothers died in World War I fighting Nazism to protect the Poles, and those same Poles turn around and throw rocks and bricks at us after we died to save their lives. And people talk about we are savages.
Mr. Carmichael, if you had the chance to stand up in front of the white community and say anything you desired, say to them, "Understand me, white man," what would you say?
I would say, understand yourself, white man, that the white man's burden should not have been preached in Africa, but it should have been preached among you. That you need now to civilize yourself. You have moved to destroy and disrupt. You have taken people away. You have broken down their systems, and you have called all that civilization. And we who have suffered at this are now saying to you, you are the killers of the dreams. You are the savages. Yes, it is you who have always been uncivilized. Civilize yourself.
They were really in fear of the rise of a black messiah. Let that sink in. This is the attitude of these agencies. These are the games they like to play. So with that in mind, who really was this shotgun shooter William Bradley? We'll reference Dr. Muhammad again.
Well, this shotgun shooter, but now we know where he gets his expertise from.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
William Bradley was a weapons expert, a machine gunner for the United States Marine Corps.
Oh, wow. Come on.
He went from there to become a Green Beret.
Wow. That's a good shit.
Now, what's most important about that, U.S. Special Forces, the Green Beret, were the mercenaries for the CIA.
Wow.
The CIA is an intelligence body, not a military.
Right.
The CIA does not have soldiers.
Yeah.
So since the early 60s, the CIA and the Green Berets had an arrangement. U.S. Army Special Forces or Green Berets, when the CIA wanted to execute a murder, an assassination, their mercenaries were Green Berets. William Bradley was a Green Beret.
Wow.
But I suggest that his honorable discharge was part of his sheep dipping. Sheep dipping is a U.S. intelligence operation. Sheep dipping is when the CIA wants somebody who's in the military. The CIA wants to use them to engage in a domestic covert operation. Look at every brother with a bow tie in. Ain't no beard in the house. It is not because we all happen to have the same taste. It's because the beard is religiously prohibited in the nation of Islam.
Right.
And we know that, and even before this, y'all heard the shotgun shooter had a beard.
That's right. That's right.
William Bradley had a beard.
Yeah. Come on.
Then that should have let you know right then.
Way.
Whoever he wasn't with the Muslims. He wasn't in the mosque.
What about the other men involved in the shooting, you might ask?
Thomas Hare was consistent from his confession during trial to his affidavits to his interviews. What he said was he was a member of the Nation of Islam. He was registered. He got his X in 1962, but then he fell out. He got put on time. He came back to the Nation of Islam, but then he beat up a brother, Thomas Hare, and he got put on F time. Thomas Hare was in the Nation on February 21st, but he was not in the mosque. He was not an active minister. He was on F time. He was not in the mosque. Let me read to you from Muhammad Abdulaziz. Remember him, Norman 3X Butler, who went to jail with him? He was asked, was Hare a member of the Nation of Islam? And he answered, see, he was in the nation, but not in the mosque. Look at what he said. Well, he was, but not actively. He was inactive at the time. Something had happened. I don't know what it is. We know what it is, but he wasn't in good standing. So when Thomas Hare on trial, his words were, on that day, he wasn't a black Muslim, meaning he wasn't active in the mosque on that day because he was on F time. That's the truth of the situation, dear brother.
Two of the three men convicted in the assassination are now exonerated, one of them after he died. Hagen, aka Hayer, aka Halim, was adamant these men were innocent. Witness testimony backed up Hagen's claims, but the prosecutors seemed to insist on the government cover-up, showing the corruption and deception happened on multiple levels of the system. Investigators said prosecutors at the time, along with the FBI and the New York City Police Department, withheld crucial evidence that likely would have led to the men's acquittal. They failed to note there had been undercover officers in the room when Malcolm X was shot, ignored alibis which have since been corroborated by witnesses, and disregarded information from Thomas Hagen, the third man convicted of killing Malcolm X. In his confession, Halim said that neither Aziz nor Islam assisted him in the murder. Manhattan District Attorney Kai Vance told the New York Times, quote, "This points to the truth that law enforcement over history has often failed to live up to its responsibilities. These men did not get the justice that they deserved," end quote. To add to the proof of the deep corruption of these intelligence agencies, a deathbed confession from NYPD agent Raymond Wood. In his deathbed letter, he confessed he had worked with the NYPD and FBI to have Malcolm X killed. Raymond Wood said he'd been instructed to infiltrate Malcolm X's inner circle and devise a bombing plot involving 2 members of the Civil Rights Leader Security Detail. Raymond Wood said he'd been instructed to infiltrate Malcolm X's inner circle and devise a bombing plot involving 2 members of the Civil Rights Leader Security Detail. Raymond Wood is quoted saying, quote, "It was my assignment to draw the 2 men into felonious federal crime so they could be arrested by the FBI and kept away from managing Malcolm X's Audubon ballroom door security," end quote. One of these men he got locked up was responsible for managing the weapons for Malcolm X's security. Since he was strategically manipulated and arrested, there were no weapons around for Malcolm X's defense at the time of his murder. This point illustrates how well this assassination was planned out by the intelligence agencies. Raymond Wood also wrote in his confession, quote, "On February 21st, 1965, I was ordered to be at the Audubon Ballroom where I was identified by witnesses while leaving the scene," end quote. He also wrote, quote, "Thomas Johnson was later arrested and wrongfully convicted to protect my cover and the secrets of the FBI and NYPD." What more do I need to say? But let's keep going. Let's take a closer look at this so-called security around Malcolm X. In his letter, Raymond Wood also revealed he was inside the Audubon Ballroom at the time of Malcolm's assassination. At least one other undercover New York police officer, Gene Roberts, was also inside after infiltrating the security team of the Organization of Afro-American Unity, the group Malcolm founded after leaving the Nation of Islam. Both officers, Wood and Roberts, were part of the Bureau of Special Services and Investigations, or BOSSI, a secretive political intelligence unit of the NYPD. This right here is proof that the intelligence agencies colluded with their informants in and around the Nation of Islam and followers of Malcolm X to organize and execute the assassination of Malcolm X. The official story we've heard growing up is now exposed as a lie, and we should adjust our understanding according to the truth. Let's also remember the assassinations of Martin Luther King, JFK, RFK, Fred Hampton, and Malcolm X all happened within 6 years of each other. JFK 1963, Malcolm X 1965, RFK 1968, MLK 1968, Fred Hampton 1969. All these murders have connections to covert operations in the government. These agencies were on a killing spree. We're not dealing with conspiracy theories, we're dealing with conspiracy facts. We have to understand these alphabet boys are masters of manipulation and misinformation. They literally wrote the book on it. By assassinating Malcolm X and blaming it on the Nation of Islam, they effectively killed 2 birds with 1 stone. They literally murdered one of our greatest leaders and American heroes and assassinated the character and image of maybe the greatest leader and movement we've seen here in America with the most honorable Elijah Muhammad and the Nation of Islam. The government was very effective with this strategy. At this point, if we are still blaming Elijah Muhammad for Malcolm's death, we are still being manipulated by COINTELPRO. In order to move forward in unity, we must disabuse ourselves with the false truth and view our greatest leaders in their proper light. Learning from these men's triumphs and mistakes, we can continue to build a brighter future for everyone. Let me know your thoughts on this. Leave a comment. You still think it was a nation, or do we need to take the FBI to court? Assalamu alaikum. Shalom. Peace.
What attracted you then to Islam in the first instance?
The Muslim religion
Yes.
is the true teachings of Elijah Muhammad right there in America. No power structure, nobody will challenge him. And the history of ourselves, the history of our true religion, our nationality, our names. See, we don't have our names, you know. I notice how proud you all are, proud of your names. See, Chinese have names like Chang Chong, Lu Qian. This is Islamic teachings. Russians have names like Kosygin or Khrushchev. You have names like O'Connor or Grady or Kennedy. And Africans had names like Lumumba, Nkrumah. And Jews got names like Weinstein and Goldberg. And Italians got names like Dundee and Benvenuti and Marciano. But we have names like Grady and Clay and Hawkins and Smith and Jones and Johnson, but we are black.
These are the slave names.
Yeah,
this
so
is
when I heard this, I knew it was the truth, it's history. So Muhammad Ali is a beautiful black name of our ancestors. So when I heard this, I just had to walk out of the church and Christianity because they never taught us our true knowledge. Then they told me how we were brainwashed in America. We see Jesus, he's white with blonde hair and blue eyes. We see the Lord's Supper, all white people. We see the angels in heaven, all white people. And we look at Miss Universe, a white woman, Miss America, a white woman, Miss World, a white woman. Even Tarzan, the king of the jungles in Africa, he was white. He said, We see a white man swinging in Africa, with a diaper on. He beats up all Africans and breaks the lion's jaw. And then the African's been in Africa for centuries, but he can't yet talk to the animals. But Tarzan, all of a sudden, some goat raised him up and he can talk to the animals. So I'm just showing you how the black man in America has been whitewashed his mind. And then we look at the good cowboys, they rode the white horses, and the president lived in a White House. They got TV commercials, White House cigars, White Swan soap, King White soap, White Cloud tissue paper, White Rain hair rinse, White Tornado Flow Wax, White Plus toothpaste. The president lived in a White House, and the angel food cake was the white cake, but the devil food cake was the chocolate cake. Everything good was white. And when I heard this, I said, boy, this is the truth. So our religion teaches us the knowledge of ourselves, the knowledge of our culture, the knowledge of our history, makes us want to be with our own, marry our own, live with our own, clean up ourselves, do for self, quit forcing ourselves in white neighborhoods, but clean our own neighborhoods, makes us proud, makes us identify with our own brothers throughout the world. And after I heard this, being an intelligent man, then like I'm not only a winner in boxing or my stand on the draft, I'm a winner also in the movement that I follow for my people. And the only leader is Elijah Muhammad, who we believe was taught by Allah, God himself, to teach the so-called American Negroes the truth that's been hidden from them for 400 years, which will free them.
Why is it, do you think?